One of the constraints, or I would say, of creativity is not having the right culture. And so one of the ways of not having the right culture is to eliminate bureaucratic decision making. So we have to give employees specific time periods to work on something outside their job description. At Secure ID, within your job description, everybody, there is an aspect of innovation. And at the end of every year, when we're giving prizes, we actually give prizes to the most innovative person within the company. And so what are you innovating? You're innovating what you do, your processes. How can you do it better? How can you do it differently? And that way, you're able to unleash the latent and unconscious talents within your staff and in your staff. And so as we strive towards having that capacity to drive creativity, as entrepreneurs, it's not a once and for all thing. It's continuous improvement on your value chain. Because like we have heard, Nigeria is a very difficult place to run a business, but we just have to keep on going. Hard work is required, a positive mindset, a why not mindset. Why can't I do it? How can I do it better? Do your research, do your homework, see the market not as it is, but as it can be. Don't be afraid to be the first. Don't be afraid to test new ways. Because when we started at Secure ID, our vision from the beginning was not just to serve Nigeria, but to serve Africa. And today we serve 16 countries all across Africa.
In her presentation, she brought out the fact that entrepreneurs need to look more at the potential of what is possible, not necessarily be constrained with what is right now. We need to create an environment for solving problems in a different way, continuously looking for a different way of doing old things and bringing in new things onto the table. One major thing she mentioned is the capacity to drive and sustain creativity within the organization. It's not only about bringing up creativity, but sustaining it, creating that culture of creativity amongst the workforce, building a culture for innovation, and acknowledging such staff who brought it about.
Tell you my story, which is that I used to work in a company as a legal advisor, and I was doing a 9-to-5 job. And it was a great job, but after a while, it wasn't challenging for me anymore. And when this music thing came to my head, I was like, okay. So the savings for my bonus, I registered Chocolate City. Chocolate City actually started when I was in university. And then I was, we're just bored, nothing to do, and we thought, why not do something that people can pay money to, bring a DJ, get a hall, people dance, collect some money, so that you can buy some clothes during the weekend. It wasn't really like a business venture. It was just something to kind of just keep things going. So that was the opportunity that started. So when I was going to register a company, I just thought, okay, register Chocolate City once again, and registered it, and I thought the name was a bit, every time I say Chocolate City, people look at you like, do you sell chocolate, do you make, you work there, you're about to Cadbury, something like that. But the idea was that you needed a name that was compelling, and I think that's the first person I want to set down to people, that you need to have a name that's compelling. You need to have a name that people can remember. You need to brand yourself in such a way that people begin to think, okay, what is this about? So it's not forgettable. Shortly after that, the company started, and I was working my 9-to-5, then I'd leave work and then go and start Chocolate City and trying to get artists and etc. And in 2005, we launched the company, and I was working in a company called Leasing Company. It's a subsidiary of Bank of Industry, and I decided to quit the job. Now, when I quit the job, everybody said, Audu, this is the most stupid thing you've done before. First of all, you're a lawyer trying to do music. Second of all, you're doing it from Abuja, which has no musical infrastructure. And third, you're going to leave the only thing that's sustaining you so that you can follow some artists up and down with CDs. Does that make sense? And I thought about it. No, it didn't make sense. But you see, as an entrepreneur, it doesn't make sense to the world. The vision is yours. Nobody sees your vision. If you explain your vision to somebody and he sees it as well as you do, he's either your twin or he's doing jazz. Nobody can see your vision as well as you can. It's in your mind. So everybody said no, but my soul and my belief said yes. when people say blind faith, I think blind faith is only, I think it's a tautology, is that what they call it? Because faith is blind. If you can see it, then it's not faith anymore. So when it started, I quit my job and decided that, look, we're going to pursue this. Left Abuja, moved to Lagos, and I was grinding for 3 months. In Abuja, I had a vehicle that I was using. In Lagos, I didn't. So I was climbing bicycles, buses, motorbikes, whatever. It didn't matter to me because I knew what I wanted to achieve. And I knew that somehow I believed that this would mean something. Now, I won't bore you with the long story of what has happened since then. But suffice to say that since that time, a lot has happened. And it changed one day. I was on my way from Abuja to Kaduna, where I'm from, and my car broke down for the umpteenth time. It was a Mercedes-Benz 190, which I bought second-hand, and it overheated on the way. And I spent, I think, 50,000 at that time. So I was really, really upset, and I parked the car, humbly walked to a well to go and fetch water to put in the radiator. And I told God, I said, if you don't change my life in 1 year, I'm going to go back to Kaduna State, become a civil servant, and drink beer every evening. I told him that. I said, you need to change it because this is not what I was meant for. And I can tell you from that day, everything changed. Today, Chocolate City has offices in Lagos, Abuja, and we just opened an office in Nairobi in May 2013. Since then, people look at Chocolate City as a record label. It's not. It's an entertainment company, and we do several things. We work with quite a few companies in terms of branding, in terms of getting things like events going. We work with other campaigns, telcos, and etc., making things happen and supporting their own vision.
Everyone has talked about the case for creativity, and I'm going to take it from a slightly different angle. Globally, 30% of family businesses survive to the second generation. Only 3% survive to the fourth generation. What percentage in Nigeria do you think survives to the fourth generation? There are a lot of reasons for this, but one of the key reasons is the issue around creativity and innovation. Businesses that can't reinvent themselves will die. Just yesterday, my son brought out a cassette and said, "Mommy, look at what I found in my room, a cassette." It doesn't seem like such a long time. Some of you remember cassettes. But for him, this was the first cassette he had seen. A company like Kodak, cameras, its business is almost extinct because we have what? Our phones that we use to take pictures today. Creativity is critical for any company that wants to survive. And Leap Africa, the organization I founded, has done a lot of work around creativity, innovation, succession. In one of our books on succession, we found out that when we're trying to trace how many companies in Africa had survived since the 1920s, we found a book called The Red Book of West Africa. And it said that only one of the companies that existed in the 1920s still existed today in modest form. So most of our companies die. And most of the companies that you knew growing up don't exist today. In spite of this, there are companies that have survived generations. And we've studied them and looked at them in the Nigerian context. And one of the secrets of their success is creativity. So what is creativity? I like to use a very simple analogy because many people don't understand what creativity is. So let me just walk through this. A plain iron bar is worth $5. Sorry we're using dollars, but that's just imagine it's Naira. If you took that iron bar and forged horseshoes from it, you'd increase the value to $10.50. If you made the bar into needles, the price would increase to $3,000. If you made it into watch springs, then it's worth $250,000. So the difference between the $5 and the $250,000 is what? Creativity. Now, where do you think most of our businesses play in the Nigerian landscape? We're at the $5 mark. We export our oil and import petrol. We export cocoa and we import chocolates. We actually are one of the big exporters of cocoa in this world. We even import cashew nuts when we're one of the largest producers of cashew nuts. Think about most of our businesses operate at the very, very limited margins of innovation and profitability. Now, it's not unique to Nigerians. When a survey was done with the American Association and they asked 5,500 CEOs, what must one do to survive in the 21st century? Everyone picked practice, creativity, and innovation, but only 6% felt their organizations were doing a good job at practicing it. How would you respond to the same question? For those who have going concerns, how much investment are you putting into creativity and innovation? It's fairly straightforward to start building a culture of creativity, but you have to push yourself. You have to develop a toolkit and take the time to think about creativity.
Good afternoon, Mrs Ndidi Nwuneli, CEO of Leap Africa. It's great to have you at the FBN SME CONNECT conference. I want to first ask you the role of creativity and innovation in SME growth and businesses.
Creativity is paramount for companies that want to survive generations because it will keep them at the cutting edge in terms of product innovation, in terms of service innovation, in terms of ensuring that they meet the needs of their customers and satisfy the needs of their marketplace. The world is constantly changing. The business marketplace is constantly changing. For companies to stay ahead of the pack, they need to innovate. I'm involved in a food processing company called Ace Foods, and we're in the agricultural landscape. It's a very complex sector. It's constantly changing, and we realize that we have to innovate in terms of our products, our packaging, what we offer to our customers to stay at the cutting edge.
You said that your company was born out of the need for infrastructure in the entertainment industry. Can you shed more light on that?
You know, basically, I think about 8 years ago, you didn't have proper companies that were managing talent or promoting and developing talent, and we've been doing that for quite a while now. If you look at in terms of structures, we're actually a real company in terms of staffing systems, offices, studios, training, capacity development, etc. So we do a lot of those things. And what we thought was that there was a greater potential than was being harnessed at that time. And 8 years later, Nigerian music industry and the entertainment is blowing up everywhere in the world. So we were right. We actually saw, maybe slightly ahead of some other people, the potentials. Now it seems lucrative to do it, but then it wasn't. It wasn't lucrative at all.